So you're woke. Now what? This channel isn't to wake people up. This channel is for people who are woke and are trying to navigate through. Yeah, it's something to be woke to what's going on, and a lot of people don't know what to do from there. I imagine some people have, or they're on the brink of crashing out. However, that's not the answer. So you're not alone. We feel like the world is crashing down, and it seems like there's no solution in sight. There are solutions, and they are everywhere at your disposal. Now that you're unplugged, you're not the same person, and trying to navigate as you did in sleep mode will lead to multiple disasters. So, check your belief system. I believe in Christ, the Nazarene. I believe and carry the Holy Spirit, and I love the Lord. He's the only reason why I'm able to do anything. You know, God kept me from crashing out. About 30 years ago, I knew something was wrong. Everything I tried to do was a complete hassle because there was no one around me who could understand my plight. And I believe with all my heart that it was God that led my life to this very day. Now, I'm not here to preach to you. And no, despite your belief system, God's laws and statutes reign supreme in this earth. Now, by knowing and understanding there is a spiritual realm will help you navigate well as a work person. When you know and understand the world is ruled by those who practice witchcraft, you know, by applying this magic, they try to circumvent the karma by putting harmful things in plain sight. That these harmful things are typically guised within cartoons or comedy or in other ways, very, very subtle ways, so that people will not take it seriously. The magic is often called sigil magic and is used to reach a desired outcome. For example, if you want 7 billion people to get off the streets all at once and stay inside the home, you create ways to instill fear into them by creating an illness that claims many lives. And if you want an entire country to carry a tracking system inside their body, you can't say, hey, we want to put a tracking system inside your body. No, because everybody would refuse because it's insane. So, what do? You create an antidote or a prevention for the illness. And inside the prevention is a tracking system. They know that people won't read the fine print when signing off on getting this, but it'll tell you. It's a disclosure. And you also have the right to know the ingredients of a prevention. They must tell you. Most of us are literal people and we think in literal ways. So, literally, oftentimes we are saying, well, I didn't know. However, they told you. And the key to that is our expectation of how we receive information. So if you think back to yourself, okay, when did they tell me? But how are you used to receiving information? You're used to receiving information in ways that, okay, you saw a video, or okay, somebody told you on the phone, somebody told you something in person. However, for an entity that does not talk to you directly, how do they tell you that information? Because you're not going to have a conversation one on one. They're not going to say, hey, we need you to take this thing, and it has a tracking system inside. So when you take it, and then we turn the system on, we know your whereabouts 24/7, and we always know what you're doing. This unseen entity is not going to sit down and tell people this individually. They're not going to go on TV and say these things either because it's not palatable. They know that people are going to say, no, no, I don't want that. So that's where the magic moves in. They have to trick people into doing it by disguising it as something good. It's like having Halloween 365 days, or however many days are in a year, who knows. It's a constant trick. And I'm going to use a term that Brother Minister Theo uses on um, Unplug which is, guys, run his channel up because he is full of knowledge. And he is one of the reasons why I am where I am too, because his material is very good. Trick bag. It's all a trick bag. You're being tricked every day, all day long when you step outside your house into this place. Okay? So instead of having an existential crisis, all right? Because you know you still have to navigate here. You know you still have to be present and do whatever it is you need to do. That it doesn't mean that you stop working. It doesn't mean a lot of different things. It doesn't mean that you stop communicating with your family, or you stop raising your children, or you stop um, being with your spouse. It doesn't mean that you go somewhere and you hide in a hole, although that's what it feels like you should do. It's a very, very hard thing to be woke and knowing that you have to navigate through a world that is fake. So now that you woke, you must think differently. And complacency is non existent and it's costly. And being diligent is your new habit. You have to look for the magic, look for the spell being cast. Ask, what is the manipulation tactic being done? Why do they want people to do this? Why are preventions free and sometimes given with a gift card? What is in it for them? What do they have to gain? And you must ask these questions because it's coming from something that doesn't care about you. It's coming from something that you can't sit down face to face and ask it the questions you want to ask it. The proof is in the state of the world today. We should all be thriving. And thriving is difficult when you're constantly being lied to. Okay? The truth is all there is. And when you're living in truth, the Lord says, the truth shall set you free, and a man that's free is free indeed. I believe that wholeheartedly because as a free person, these things are true. And once you learn how to navigate through the system, you understand that this is a hardcore truth. You cannot navigate under lies, and when those lies fall apart, your whole world falls apart. So your world has to be 100% truth. Okay? Imagine being married and you found out your spouse has lied to you about everything. These are strangers who don't care if you lived or died. The entire thing is fake. They're not going to tell you that. You're in a fake marriage. This is a fake marriage. Or you don't want to use marriage. This is a fake existence. Okay? So once you move from the material to the spiritual, and you begin living a life of 100% truth, I'm hoping the life will be much more understanding for you, and life will be much easier to navigate because you have changed your mindset about it. Okay, so we're going to learn how to navigate through the fakeness. Now I'm going to give some credit to some props and a shout out to Dr. Dre underscore OG Reacts. He did a video that had a Chloe underscore 214, and it inspired me to do this video here. Okay, so imagine, well, no, that's a lot of imagine. I'm not going to imagine anything because we're already living in imaginary land when we step outside the front door. Okay, now those of you who are constantly bombarding yourselves and consuming social media, let me say one of the ways to start living in a life of truth so you can navigate through this place is to unplug from stuff that has no bearing on your life ahead. Okay? I'm not saying not to have a good time. I'm not saying not to watch a movie here and there or just, you know, if you doom scroll, don't doom scroll. Do something else with those minutes, with that hour or those hours. Do something else because you need to start letting your dopamine center give it a rest. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Okay, give your dopamine center a rest. So unplug yourself from social media and really ask yourself, what is it doing for you? Unless you're on there with a channel and that is your lifeline, you know. But that's making videos that's actually being productive. You're putting out instead of taking in. So ask yourself, as I'm sitting here taking this in, what am I gaining? Unless you're watching videos that is feeding your brain, that is feeding your soul, that is feeding your energy, then the rest of it is just futile. Okay? So you want to be in a space where your brain isn't being constantly taken over by something on the outside. You got to gain control over yourself. You got to gain control over your mind. And that's the thing that they want. They want your mind and they want your energy. And if they have those things, they can do anything they want to you because you're not paying attention. Okay? So I look at the matrix like this. The matrix is when the matrix opens up when I step out my front door because I'm looking for stuff. I'm looking, literally looking for things. I'm looking for codes. I'm looking for solutions. Now, I'm going to tell you what I mean when I said I'm looking for code. So, in the movie The Matrix, Neo could see code. So when he could see a code coming, like Chloe 214 said in her video, when the bullets started coming for him, he was able to dodge every bullet because he could see the code. So he could react with another code. Now, I'm going to give you an example of this. And this is just something that's super, super duper small, but it works just the same. Now, as you're unplugged, you're going to be at a certain level of consciousness. Okay? And it's going to be different for everyone, but I can say for myself that I'm so far removed from emotion that when I step into the matrix, that I'm not bothered by anything. Because one thing that I'm going to do is protect my energy. I'm not going to go out here and get mad at anything. I'm not going to let anybody steal anything from me. Mainly my energy. Okay? Because whoever I'm going out here to deal with, I don't know these people and they don't know me. Okay? So if I'm always coming from a place of love, okay, then love is what I'm going to receive. I'm not going to accept anything else. People can rant and rave all they want. It doesn't have anything to do with me. And I know how that sounds. But if you don't protect your peace and your energy and yourself, your whole being outside of God, who is going to? And because I do these things, I'm able to vibrate on a level to where I don't see or experience a lot of low level vibrational stuff because it's not on my frequency. Okay? It's just not. You know, some people go outside and they have a terrible day and things go on and they interact with people and they come home ranting and raving and stuff like that. Those kinds of things do not happen to me. If they do happen, it is so incredibly rare that I can't even tell you the last time I got in an argument with someone. I really can't because it's been that long. I just don't go there. Now, I'm not saying that I'm happy go lucky or anything like that. No, I try to always keep things amicable because there are ways to solve problems without being emotional. And if it helps, you could think about the magic that you're seeing when you go outside your front door. The things that are trying to manipulate you, they are attacking your emotions. They want you to feel a certain kind of way about a thing. Okay? And we have to keep our emotions under control because that's where the demons lie. That's where they're going to feed. That's where depression lies. Okay? That's where sickness lies. They dwell there. That's where mental illness lies. They dwell there. Okay? And the magic that is done outside, they play on these things. They play on your emotions. Now, when everybody was inside, during that long period of time, this is where you could see how the magic was used and it played on people's emotions. You saw it within yourself. You saw it within your family. I remember seeing it within myself and wondering, okay, God, what do I do now? They have this thing because they make it such a big deal when they shut down the entire world over it. And it makes you gasp. It makes you. So here we are 5 years later. And one thing that I can say is that I remember some businesses because they put out a mandate for if anybody wanted to eat inside of a restaurant in this city. If anybody wanted to eat inside of a restaurant, they had to show that they took preventive measures. So they had to show proof that they took preventive measures in order to eat inside the restaurant. And you can go inside the restaurant and you can order takeout. You could do that. And what I saw is that it was actually tested in this city. It didn't go all across America. They did test it in this city, and guess what? It failed. It failed, it failed, it failed. And I also believe during this time they might have tried to go cashless. Some businesses tried to go cashless. I remember that Planet Fitness was one of them during that time. They had the preventive mandate thing. You couldn't come there unless you could show proof of prevention, and they didn't take cash during that time. But then when all of that stuff kind of fell away, then they started taking cash again. And I can't even tell you exactly when it all fell away, but that mandate did not stick. I'm going to tell you why. Because not only did it affect the businesses um, customer wise, they had employees too. And if not everybody took preventive measures, then, or they were actually at home sick, and this thing will have people away from work like a week or so. I remember a grocery store in my neighborhood closing down for 2 weeks because everybody was sick. Okay. And that grocery store, by the way, didn't have the mandate thing. Anyway, going back to the restaurant, this restaurant has employees. Okay. It hurt a lot of businesses to try to force this mandate thing. Okay. We have to really look at things when we see the word mandate behind it. So when you look at the definition of mandate, um, it is something that is put into place, an authoritative authoritative thing that is put into place to where everybody has to do it. It's like a rule that has to be put into place. Like everybody has to do it. So when you see these mandates come into place, you have to ask yourself, why? What purpose does this serve? Especially from coming from something that doesn't care about you. It looks like it's going to help, but it doesn't help because there's something underlying there that that's the goal of the whole thing. They make us think that the goal is for everyone to be healthy and blah 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 blah. No, these things fall apart, and I think the Lord allows it to fall apart because it's magic. It's in disguise because you really don't care about everybody being healthy. Because if you did, maybe the nation or the rulers of this nation would have taken some type of um, precautions so that their people wouldn't get sick. I know that's a tall order, but it's a good example. Just like you would take preventative measures so that your family will not get sick, or you would take preventative measures to make sure that your family stays safe. Now, you could look at things in that manner of what you would do with your own family. Now, you know your family and you love your family, okay? This is coming from entities that do not know you and they don't care about you. So you have to look for the magic. You have to look for the disguise. What are they trying to say to you? And when you step into the matrix, when you are going on with your day to day life, this is your new eyes. This is your new brain. This is the new way that you have to look at things now. Okay? Because one thing is for sure, you can't go around being pent up or wrapped up in your emotions because you're upset about the things that are happening. It's happened. It's been happening way before you. It's going to happen way after you. Okay? So the thing is to learn how to navigate while you're here in this place. And you have to navigate without feeling a way about a thing. Okay? Because the only thing is truth. What is the truth telling you? It's not about how you feel about the truth that's being told. Because one thing about this country is that so many people act or live their whole lives based on how they feel about a thing. And if you're woke and you are doing this, I'm asking you to stop. Because how you feel about something is irrelevant. All that matters is the truth. And what is the truth behind the magic or the spell that's being cast towards you? Okay? What are the solutions to your problems when you walk out there into the matrix? What is the code that's being delivered to you, and what's the code that you have to give back so you can stop it from infiltrating you? Okay? So, if you like the movie The Matrix, you can kind of think of these videos like downloading the Taekwondo, downloading the Kung Fu. Okay? We have to mentally prepare ourselves for what's to come. We have to put on our thinking caps. It's very, very important for us to think, to critically think. Now that you are critically thinking, and this is the thing that the entity who doesn't care about you, it doesn't want you to think. It wants to think for you. So you have to think for yourself. You have to question things all the time. Okay, so you're walking out, you're into the matrix. So when you're in the matrix, you're going to run into different types of people and whatever it is that you go through your daily life. Okay, you got to start changing some things. You got to start changing the way you think about things, the way you see things, the way you do things. Because you are not the same person as I said before. You can no longer navigate through this world like you did when you were asleep. It's not the same. Okay? Once you woke, you woke, hopefully. Because if you go back and say, well, I'm just going to go back to the way it was, that's a hard decision. Because you're giving yourself over to be controlled. And that's not the solution. And I do believe the more of us that wake up, I think we will be a collective consciousness. Because I have to be careful when I say this. What makes it a collective consciousness is that if everybody is thinking the same thing, there's an energy there, and that uh, it's going to be connected in one way or another. Okay? And I believe that there's enough who think that way that people will be able to see the magic and they won't allow spells to be cast on them because they can see what's going on. And once this happens, that's a collective. That's a collective consciousness because you have, 30 million people saying no. Or you have 4 billion people saying no. No, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this. There are solutions. I'm not saying that they give it to you. No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, as I said before, despite your belief system, whether you believe in God or not, God's laws and statutes are in place. And when you understand those, also you can navigate through this place. Okay? One of the things that God tells us is that He did not give us the spirit of fear. He gave us power to operate on power, love, and a sound mind. If you have a sound mind, that means you're not out here being controlled. You can't be controlled. If somebody comes up in your face and says some bad things to you, you have to find it somewhere within yourself to diffuse that situation and act from a place of love. Now, I'm not saying turn the other cheek. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is you don't act out of fear, you know? And you have to think a little deeper about why things happen. Everybody is going through something. You just might be the person that person goes off on, you know, but don't take it personal because everybody's going through something. And that is operating from a place of love, you know. And I'm going to tell you this as a person that vibrates very, very high, those kinds of things vibrate high, they're not attracted to you. You're going to attract what you vibrate. And a lot of times I go through my day to day and it's just day to day. It's the same thing. It's pretty monotonous every single day. And I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that to an extent that I know that I'm in control. I'm not looking for any kind of crazy excitement. I'm not looking for it. I'm looking for an exit. Okay? I'm looking for the exit. And I don't know quite what that is yet. I don't know what your exit is. But I know that for myself, I don't want the end game to be me shivering somewhere in a corner because aliens have come to the planet. Okay? I'm not going to be controlled like that. I'm not going to be controlled by fear of any of that. Now, being a work person, you have to make conscious decisions on not to be afraid of stuff. Because think of everything that you went through in your life, in your adult life. Think of all that you went through and name some points where this entity came in and knocked on your door and saved the day. I can say there's none. I tell people, been here for a long time, and I've seen a lot of administrations, and I've heard a lot of speeches of we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that for the people, blah, 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 blah. And I have seen nothing of the sort. I have people basically cuss me out because um, I don't vote. But to explain why I don't vote, that's a long conversation. And it's really not anybody else's business why I don't vote. But to hear somebody say, oh, well, your ancestors or whatever fought for this and blah, 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 blah. Okay, they fought for that and that's what they chose to do. And I am sorry that they went through so much. But they didn't do that for me specifically. And not that I care that they did that for me specifically. But everything that happened in history that has been noted of, we need to take a look at and ask why, you know? And we can use the voting thing, okay? Because if you want to look at it, all right, only white men could vote at first, you know? Indigenous people couldn't vote, and of course, black people couldn't vote, and women couldn't vote. So women, went to the helm and they made their right to vote and everything. But does anybody ask, could that be the very beginning of the feminism movement? Feminism is crazy right now. I mean, I'm a woman. I think feminism is kind of inside out. I've studied a lot of history on women and how we were excluded from history. But I'm going to say this, for each man that excluded women from history from the beginning of these times, the medieval era, the Renaissance era, the Middle Ages, where women couldn't do pretty much anything. They pretty much had to stay silent. But the same men who wrote all of these crazy laws, it came from a woman. So there. That's the only way they got here. Was being born through a woman, unless they were born in some kind of lab, but who knows what? That's possible too. I'm just saying that these great people could walk the earth without being born from a woman. So, anyway, getting back to looking for codes. Now, I digress. I'm sorry, y'all, because I kind of went on a rant there. But I feel those things are important because there's little things we have to think about too. However, when you're facing this entity that doesn't care about you, you have to look at what is it trying to tell you when you're out there in the streets. So when you leave your front door and you're outside and you're going to do whatever it is you're going to do, be vigilant, be awake, be present in this moment right now. Don't think about how you feel about this, don't think about how you feel about that. Just be present in the moment because it's so easy to get lost in our hopes and dreams, and it's easy to get lost in a conversation that you have with someone. It's easy to get lost in little daydreams and not be present in the moments. Be present. Be here. I'm saying that because when you walk outside and you see all the magic, you see the magic when you go to the store. What are they advertising to you? What are they selling you between the vegetable and what is it, the produce and the dairy aisle? What are they trying to? What are they? What's the magic in between? What's the magic at the checkout counter? What is being used to distract you in the moment when you run in the store without a basket and then you come out with 15 items? You know, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm just saying the magic is everywhere. We're being influenced everywhere at every turn. So you have to look out for what's influencing you. What are they trying to say to you? What are they trying to get done? What are you trying to get done? What code are you going to send back so you don't receive that magic? Mhm. I'll give you an example. Um, let's say, hmm, what's a good example? Now, I will say I live in New York City and I see stuff all the time. And I had this weird experience today when I got on the train. And it was so packed. It's so full at times that sometimes I'll let a couple of trains go by just because if I see somebody's back pressed against the door window, I'm not going to get in there. It's just, you know, I'm not getting in there because that's ridiculous to me. Okay. But anyhow, I get on the train and it's kind of crowded in there. And my body was in a position to where my lower back hurt and my foot was in a position where my toes were pressed to the front of my shoe and my toe hurt. And that's not usual for me, so I recognized it right away. It's like, what is this? Let me see how I'm standing here. And I looked, you know, and the train is going pretty fast, so you kind of gotta brace yourself for when they hit the brakes, so you don't fall over, you know. So I'm looking, and my brain did something because after I watched the video with Dre OG Reacts, it had my, I'm telling you, it got my juices flowing. Anyway, I'm sitting here telling myself, what's the code? What's the code for my toe to stop hurting? What's the code for my back to stop hurting? Because I don't want to be uncomfortable for the next 15 minutes until I stop. And then right after I asked that question, just as I asked that question, the train stopped and some people got off, and the corner next to me was empty. Somebody left. And I was like, wow, that's the answer right there. Because I moved myself over to that corner where I can stand in a different position and my feet can be in a different position and my back stopped hurting and my toes stopped hurting. Now, it would be easy to say, oh, well, somebody got off, so you just went and just did that. But I know how it sounds. But at the same time, if I'm not sitting in here talking in my brain, okay, what would be the code? Because I'm just kind of playing with it. What would be the code? What's the code for my toe to stop hurting? What's the code for my back to stop hurting? How do I do that? In this crowded train, all of a sudden, this corner behind me becomes free. I don't believe that's a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence because there's been too many times where whatever I think, not whatever I think, but if I have a particular thought, that thought manifests. So I'm very careful about what I think about because I don't want any mess to come back to me. So I don't think about mess. I don't think about bad stuff. I don't think about negative stuff because it has nothing to do with me. And God said the rain falls on the just and unjust alike. That means if bad stuff is going to happen to one person, it's going to happen to the other. Bad stuff happens to all of us. It's how we react to it. I'm not going to carry around negativity. I'm not going to carry around anger. I'm not going to carry around hatred. I don't want any of that coming back to me. And what makes it even more prevalent is that I know that the magic that's being done to us, that comes from a hateful place. That is hatred. That's hatred. So the entity that puts these things out, that puts out these spells, that does this magic to you, hates you. Otherwise, everybody would be thriving, right? Everybody would be doing well, right? So how is your trip going to be every time you enter the matrix? And one thing that Chloe, I'm going to make sure I give her credit. Chloe 214, that's her name on TikTok, at Chloe, KLOW underscore 214. She's on TikTok. How are you going to be when you have to go out into the matrix. Now, she pointed out in the movie, she pointed out in the movie The Matrix that they didn't stay in their ship all the time. They had to go back. They had to keep going back into the matrix. That is the same thing that we have to do once we unplug, once we become woke. And just like Morpheus was showing Neo, you have to be observant. And then he was distracted by the woman in the red dress. You have to be observant. Now, when you step outside your front door, you have to train yourself to pay attention to everything. Because if everything is fake, how do you know what is real? You don't know. You just have to be prepared. You have to be prepared. You have to pay attention to people, to what they're wearing, what they're doing. Because once you start doing this, you can avoid a lot of mishaps. Okay? It's like when I ride the subway, I try not to get on the subway train where somebody is laying out sleeping. They're having a moment I don't want to be part of. You know, I find it very, very uncomfortable. But yet, I understand it because if you are in a place where the entity has created a place where the homeless, where we actually have homeless people, then they have to have the place to sleep too. Who knows the last time that man laid down to get a good rest out of the cold? Who knows? It's really none of your business to think anything about this person. But if you're going to think anything, I would say try not to think negative, you know, and think good things that maybe he will, find something. Because things happen. We live in a world where things happen to people, crazy things happen to people. We don't know why people become homeless, but people want to look down upon them because that's what these entities have trained people to look at homeless people like they're nothing. There's something too. And I bet you a lot of them are unplugged, which is why maybe some of them talk to people who chose to be on the street because they didn't want any part, not one because they've been done wrong for too long. But anyway, I digress. You have to be observant. You have to pay attention to all things around you. You come back into the matrix. I mean, if it helps at all, go back and study the movie. What is Morpheus showing Neo when they go back into the matrix before they go do you know, some superhero stuff? When they go back there, you're dealing with people who are not unplugged. So you go do what you need to do and you come back. But when you go out there and do what you need to do it to the very best of your ability. Don't be half-assed anymore. Don't do anything half-assed anymore. ho-humness, for lack of a better word. Live. You've been unplugged. Now you can live and do it to the very best of your ability. And when you think this way, and when you feel this way, things open up to you. You vibrate higher, and whatever you need comes to you because your mindset is not in the gutter anymore. You're not being influenced by magic. You're not under a spell anymore. See how much your life changes when you're not under a spell, when you're not being manipulated. When you are in control of your thoughts, you're in control of your choices. You are navigating this place the way you are meant to. It's hard coming out of the matrix. It is. And hopefully I can help you do it. Hopefully we can go through this matrix together and share ideas and share thoughts and share concerns that we have coming out of the matrix and having to go back in to do certain things. So, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna label this as episode one, and it's just gonna be a dark video. You know, maybe you can listen to it while you're sleeping or relaxing or whatever. I'm gonna just label this episode one, and I'm gonna leave an email so you can email me your thoughts and concerns, and maybe I can start addressing those. So, run across this video and you listen to the whole thing, please like. Um, I don't know if you can share it. Share it with somebody who has been unplugged and is passing out a little bit. You can send them this. If you want to share your experiences, you can leave me a comment or drop me an email, and we'll just go from there. And I'll try to do, I don't know, I can't make any promises. But what I want to do is when I do go out in the matrix and I experience something, I want to come back and share it with you guys so that way you have something to go on. You know, just like I told you with the codes on the train, and something opened up for me, something that simple. But that happens to me all the time. I just was looking for codes this time because I just wanted to try something a little bit different. And it's along the same lines of what I do every day. Things just work. They work when you're unplugged. But you can't be emotional. You can't be mad. You have to operate from a place of love and understanding so we can all connect. So you can stop feeling you're the only one that's out here. I know I'm not the only one out here that's feeling this way. I found my tribe. I found my tribe because those are the things that are coming out, that are emitting from me. your thoughts go out there. That's why it's not good to have bad thoughts or think negative or think hateful things or think mean things because those things are emitted out of your brain like brain waves. They're emitted out there. You have to be careful because that could be the master of your thinking, and the master of your thinking can come and manifest to you. And then what are you going to do? And that may have happened to some of you in the past. You have to control what you're thinking now. Now that you're out of the matrix and you're unplugged, you are responsible for your thought process. If you're not being controlled anymore, you have to be responsible for what you think about. So what are you going to think about? Anyway, that's it for me.